folks, this is Mountain Man coming to you from parts unknown. I hope you all are doing well. I hope this video finds you well. I am once again simulcasting on Rumble and Utizzle, and I'm going to break away from my usual introduction to say that something big just happened. Big. And I'm sure whatever you're doing, whatever I'm doing, you're in better shape than whoever was on the receiving end of that. Oh my gosh, this particular munition. What happened? Donald Trump posted this video with no comment, and we will return to it. Central Iran. It has meaning, and I did say that I considered all bets to be off when they bombed the holy city. Remember that? The courtyard at the Wailing Wall? I said they stepped in it. But anyway, folks, we'll get to that in a minute and a lot of other things. But what do? I play videos while people come in and get themselves a cold brouhaha or an adult beverage or maybe even a milkshake. Whatever. Hot cocoa. How about that? Whatever you would like. And then what will we do? We'll be like butter and get on a roll.
Dust on my Bible, flags on the line. You laughed at our warnings, called truth a crime. You sold us your secrets, wrapped up like hope. Signed all our futures with a poison note. You sat in your mansions, we prayed in the rain. You cast every favor on a ledger of pain. You thought you were covered, names on a list, private plain pages you swore don't exist. Tick-tock, time's up, game over, you're done. Thought you hid in the shadows, but we watched every run. You sold out your own people, every promise a lie. Now the truth hits different with the world looking right in your eyes. Tick-tock, time's up, game over, you lose. Treason don't pay well when the light cuts through. God on our side and he's right on time. When the judge walks in, every bell gon' chime. Game over. You thought she was certain, thought he was too. Shook hands in the back room, said they'll never break through. You mocked every farmer, every steel-toed boo. Called them crazy and bitter while you buried the proof. Now screens start flashing, whole names, young kids, whole world scrolling through the things y'all did. Digital soldiers from the cornfields to Rome say leave our children alone or we're taking you home. Let's go! Tick-tock, time's up, game over, you're done. Thought you hid in the shadows, but we watched every run. You sold out your own people, every promise a lie. Now the truth hits different with the world looking right in your eyes. Tick-tock, time's up, game over, you lose. Treason don't pay well when the light cuts through. God on our side and he's right on time. When the judge walks in, every bell gon' chime. Game over. From the back roads to the big tall towers, patriots worldwide, this the final hour. You can beg, you can bargain, you can scream, you can hide, but the book's been written and your name's inside. Tick-tock, time's up, game over, you're done. Thought you hid in the shadows, but we watched every run. You sold out your own people, every promise a lie. Now the truth hits different with the world looking right in your eyes. Tick-tock, time's up, game over, you lose. Treason don't pay well when the light cuts through. God on our side and he's right on time. Nothing's gonna stop what's already signed. Game over.
Storm zone.
Yes, sir.
I'm wondering what storm they're talking about.
They have unsuccessfully tried to take down the wrong person.
He's absolutely going to come back with full vengeance the next time around.
I think about what 4 years of a retribution presidency working on figuring out the identities of the FBI and DOJ staff and forming lists.
I will direct a completely overhauled DOJ to investigate every radical DA and AG in America for their illegal, racist enforcement of the law. The deep state is destroying our nation, but the tables must turn and we will quickly destroy the deep state. We know where the bodies are buried. There are a lot of people out there that have done some very, very evil things, very bad things, I would say treasonous things against our country. People that have done such harm to our country. I've been looking at them for a long time. He could order the investigation and prosecution of individuals who he sees as enemies. Put them all in jail where they belong. You gotta get tough and smart, and you have to fight fire with fire. You can't allow this to go on. And I will be the one to clean it up. I am your retribution. We will take care of it. We will take care of it.
Hi, folks. Thank you for joining me tonight. I'm happy to see all of you, and I hope you're doing well. Yeah, if you guys missed it, I'll play it in a little bit. Something big just happened. I would have changed my thumbnail if I'd had more time. But the thumbnail I have is prescient. Prescient. So much more than meets the eye, as with everything else going on with the Donald Trump administration, in collaboration, lawful collaboration with our U.S. military. Let me see who came to see me tonight. Roberto, how you doing? Damon, nice to see you. Sissy, Robin, Wayne's giving me a thumbs up. Ha ha ha. Debbie's here. Rebecca's here. Ha ha. Let's see. Oh yes, Robin. I know it when you tell me. Ha ha ha. I know everybody's giving me a thumbs up. Like Todd, give me a thumbs up. Cole's giving me a thumbs up. Right, Cole? Yeah. Elva gave me a thumbs up. Pappy Two Bears. Randy's here. Nice to see you all. I started off broadcast saying something big just happened. And yes, Donald Trump posted this video. And where this explosion, no comment. No comment. I want to tell you a little something about this. I'll put it on a loop. You see, the secondary explosion probably traveled, I don't know. Wouldn't that have made a great thumbnail saying something big just happened? Where the initial strike was, you see that paler cloud on the left-hand side of the screen, or the left-hand side of the explosion. It looks like it went perpendicular at an angle, and the secondary explosion looks like it traveled, I don't know, 6 blocks. 6 blocks, something underground, of course. It's on a loop now. But there's the initial explosion. Boom! Quite a ways farther away from the initial strike. I believe they had inside information. Where's the weak point? You throw a penetrating bomb in, and it's going to go through the weakest point and ignite whatever's down there. And Isfahan is where the explosion occurred. That is in central Iraq. Here we go. It's only 18 hours and 20 minutes from where I am. Parts unknown. So anyway, by plane. So I'm not going there anyway. It's only 43 degrees over. Isfahan is a city in central Iran known for its Persian architecture. Yeah. The huge Jahan Square is the 17th century Imam Shah Mosque, whose dome and minarets are covered with blah, blah, blah. I don't know if that's what they struck. This is a picture. It changed different buildings. I don't believe this is the mosque. But do you think they would hide explosives under a mosque? Who do you think they are? They have principles, don't you know? They're not going to do that. They're not going to put that around civilians. They're certainly not going to put it in something sacred because they are people of principle, if you believe that. But anyway, so yeah, they struck something big, and I guess we'll get some more information on it. And chances are, because they did not do what they said they were going to do, right? And Trump said, hey, they do what they say they're going to do, fine. We're working with a new regime. At least they're putting themselves forward as a new regime. Here's Carolyn Levitt addressing what's going on with the so-called new regime. Is it the same suit, different bow tie? I don't know.
Well, that's part of the ongoing process that's taking place. And the ongoing negotiations, of course, anything that they say to us privately will be tested, and we will ensure that they are being held accountable to their word. And if they are not, the president has laid out the military consequences that the Iranian regime will see if they don't hold true to the words that we are hearing privately behind the scenes. When the president says more reasonable, again, these folks are appearing more reasonable behind the scenes privately in these conversations than perhaps some of the previous leaders who are now no longer on planet Earth because they lied to the United States and they strung us along in negotiations, and that was unacceptable to the president, which is why many of the previous leaders were killed. So again, this is another historic opportunity for Iran to do the right thing, to rid themselves of their nuclear ambitions and to come to a deal with this president and the administration. Or again, they will see the grave consequences of the United States Armed Forces, which they are continuing to see every day throughout this operation.
You can't get any more plump and plain than that. You won't be on the face of the earth. And I like General Jack Keane. How many of you all been watching him? General Jack Keane. He said they're animals. And the only way to deal with them is to KILL them. And he said, I hate to use that term. I don't use that term lightly. But that's the only way to deal with these kinds of people. For nearly half a century, we've been putting up with their mayhem and murder, So much of this pain and suffering that's been experienced throughout the Middle East and here at home has originated from that evil regime. Mad dogs of the Middle East, like Ronald Reagan referred to them as. Gaddafi, a mad dog of the Middle East. So it reminds me of when I was reading a book about courts in the 1800s. There was a judge hearing a case where a man was on trial for murder and then okay? And the person that he eliminated had a very specious reputation. And after hours of listening to people all throughout the community talk about the horrible things this person had done, the judge said, well, I'll find him innocent because it sounds to me like he needed killing. That was what the judge said. There were a couple of funny stories like that. He just needed it. And another one was where judge looked at, when they first started getting lawyers in the courtroom, he looked at the lawyer standing there with his client and said, okay, which one of you two is the crooks? But anyway, let's see who else has come in while I was babbling away. I got a lot more to go through. Miss Mindersu is here. Nice to see you. Let's see. Did I miss Miss Mindersu? There she is. Aha, nice to see you, Miss Mindersu. Number 22. What's that? Let's see. Who did I miss? Let me see. Big Dre, how you doing? Nice to meet you. Welcome aboard. Roland's here. Nice to see you. Robert. Hello, Robert. I see you put rockets in sometimes in the comments. I read y'all's comments. Yeah. Nice to see you. Who else is joining us? But anyway, it's really interesting to read stuff like that. Hi, Larry. Debbie's here. How many Debbies do I got? Let's see. Got a collection going on of Debbies. Let me see. Who else? Yeah, okay. Well, looks like we're caught. If I'm Mr. Kennedy, how you doing? You snuck in right there at the bottom. I got to get my my special effects going because I want to thank the nice surprise I had this evening from Mike and Bev. They stopped by to see me and buy me a coffee, thanking me for my efforts in keeping people informed. Kaboom! Kapow! And before that was Wayne. Boom, boom, boom. And Colette came by earlier in the week. Tammy, the younger gang. Colette, Miss Bender Sue, she took care of the whole week in one whop. So anyway, I appreciate it, folks. Kapow! So anyway, what I was talking about, all bets being off, and it wouldn't surprise me. I could be wrong, but if it's some sort of revered site that looked like a big complex going up, and they're not above putting munitions and bases of operations underneath hospitals, schools, nurseries, holy sites. They did it all through Palestine. They do it all through Lebanon. And it wouldn't be surprised me if they did the same thing in Iran. And Trump let them know. Now, I had in my title last night, Trump tankers, but I never got to them. Because time flies, you know. And they're giving him 20 tankers, is what he said. My understanding. I'll play some videos of Mr. T. We'll analyze and react to them as I go up. But he gave him 10 days, right? So I'm thinking they have to give him 2 a day for the next 10 days in order to keep this total destruction that he said he would rain down on them at bay. Let me see if this is the truth. Oh, this is Birthright Citizenship. That's coming up Wednesday. We'll get into that. What a joke Birthright Citizenship has been. But we're finally hearing about the 1 million Chinese that have come over here just to have a baby and return to raise a child in communist China, and they be called citizens. It's ridiculous. It's dangerous. But anyway, here's Trump. The United States is in serious discussions with a new and more reasonable regime to end our military operations in Iran. Great progress has been made, but if for any reason a deal is not shortly reached, well, something happened, which it probably will be. And if the Hormuz Strait is not immediately, quote, open for business, we will conclude our lovely stay in Iran by blowing up and completely obliterating all of their electric generating plants, oil wells, and Karg Island, and possibly all desalination plants, exclamation point. Now, I don't believe that they've totally dropped the ball. I believe this was a military site cloaked in something else because it isn't reported as any of the above I just read. Electric plants, oil wells, and certainly not Karg Island. But anyway, if they're saying, hey, if you try to take Karg Island, we're going to blow it up. Oh, really? Well, how about this? We blow it up for you. Okay, you want to talk that smack? We'll blow it up for you. Don't forget, we built everything on Karg Island. We built all that infrastructure, just like we did in Venezuela. And then we had a military junta take over the country in both situations. In Iran, they acted like they were students. But anyway, we'll keep going. Mr. T said, all the sites I just mentioned we have purposely not yet touched. This will be in retribution for our many soldiers. Going back to the Marine barracks, okay? 40 years ago or more. And others that Iran has butchered and killed over the old regime's 47-year reign of terror. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. So, here we got Mr. T right here. This looks like a public service announcement of some sort. I got the Marine flag back there, Navy. I don't know. This might be a public service announcement of some sort.
Today, I'm pleased to announce that my administration is launching a brand new official White House app giving front row access to all news from your favorite president, Donald J. Trump. That's me. It's available today on the Apple and Android app stores. You can watch all White House events, read all my executive orders, and keep track of all of our promises made, promises kept. That was a phrase that I used during the campaign, and it's very true. In fact, I actually kept more promises than I even talked about. We did much more than I said we were going to do. Every American should expect their government to have transparency, and the Trump administration is the most transparent in history. That is for sure. No one knew that Sleepy Joe Biden was doing. We had no idea what that guy was doing. The good news is he had no idea either. But my administration is inviting all Americans to join us on this mission to make America great again. I believe it has to be the most important, powerful phrase in the history of politics. Make America great again. And we have made America great again. Now we want to keep it great. So download the new White House app today. Thank you very much. You have done a great job. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, make sure you get that app downloaded. Remember the picture of J.D. Vance taking a picture of Donald Trump holding a phone? But anyway, Eric Trump. Let's see. Was this Eric Trump that put this up? I think he shared in it. He shared in this. But 1987, remember the show 2020? Barbara Wawa. My dad met Barbara Wawa. I think she tried to put the moves on him. My dad was a good-looking man. And but anyway, she was sorely disappointed. And good things to my mom wasn't around. There had been a little German lady putting knots on her head. But anyway, here is that interview with Baba Wawa. Gosh, I couldn't imagine Dad bringing that thing home. No, he much better taste than that. But anyway, here we go.
Because I'm running for the presidency. I'm here because I'm personally tired of seeing this great country of ours being ripped off.
But as far as Trump is concerned, our allies are only part of the problem. The real culprit is Iran.
Why couldn't we go in and take over some of their oil, which is along the sea?
How would you do that? Would you send in the Marines? Would you take a chance in a war?
Let them have Iran. You take their oil. That's what
How?
How?
I mean, do we want a war? What do you mean we
in,
take their oil?
You go in. You're
how
have
do
a
we
war,
go
Barbara.
in?
You're going to have a war by being weak.
Okay, how do we go in? What do we do?
Excuse me. Yeah? You're going to have a war, and it's going to start in the Middle East.
What if the Soviet Union said, you do this to Iran, we're going to come in?
I don't believe they'd do it. The next time Iran attacks this country, go in and grab one of their big oil installations, and I mean grab it and keep it, and get back your losses, because this country has lost plenty because of Iran.
Yeah, for all those who are saying Trump doesn't think things out and all this crap, he's had his eye on Karg Island, as he should, for many years. Here's, let me see what this video is. President Trump confirms that Cuba's going to be next. Within a short period of time, it will fail, and we'll be here to help it out, which is a much better statement to make than, like, we're going to go in there and take it over and all this kind of stuff. Yeah, communist nations fail. They can't help but fail. It's just how long does it take? How many people have to suffer their entire lives? How many generations have to live in squalor before they fail?
Cuba.
Yeah, Cuba's going to be next. Cuba's a mess. It's a failing country, and they're going to be next. Within a short period of time, it's going to fail. And we will be there to help it out. We'll be there to help our great Cuban Americans out who were thrown out of Cuba. In many cases, their family members were mutilated and killed by Castro. Well, Cuba's going to be next, yeah.
Are you considering?
Man, that volume is terrible. I tried turning it all the way up. You figure the White House would be able to, they better take a look at that. Who's putting out these videos under the White House headings and the volume is crap? They better take a look at that. I'm not kidding. Because these infiltrators, they think of every little way to make things difficult and make the word hard to get out. What's this one? Trump comments on Tulsi Gabbard's job security. I have a picture of her I was going to share last week. I'll have to go down and see if I still have it in the studio. But anyway, let's see what, boy, I hope this is better volume.
We have a lot of great candidates with it.
Do you still have confidence in Tulsi Gabbard, sir?
Yeah, sure I do. Sure. I mean, she's a little bit different in her thought process than me, but that doesn't make somebody not available to serve.
Is she on the same page
I
as
would
you?
say that I'm very strong in the fact that I don't want Iran to have a nuclear weapon. Because if they had a nuclear weapon, they'd use it immediately. I think she's probably a little bit softer on that issue, but that's okay. Some people are. Most people aren't. Most people are saying thank you very much for doing what you did. They are decimated right now. They're going to give up nuclear weapons. They're going to give us the nuclear dust. They're going to do everything that we want to do. And you know what? They're going to go on and maybe have a great country again. But if they don't do that, they're not going to have a country. They're not even going to have a country. So she's softer on that issue, but I have other people, not too many. That's an issue that we've had great support. You saw the CNN poll where Trump with MAGA, and I think MAGA is most of the Republican Party, is 100% approval. In fact, the young gentleman that does the poll is very good, actually, because he's honest. He said, I've never seen 100% before. I'm 100% in the CNN poll, which just came out.
Well, he didn't say much about Tulsi, but still points he needs to get across. Some of these videos I don't pre-watch. I want to have a reaction and whatever. But, I was saying every little thing they think of, they want to twist. And there's a picture that I had of Tulsi Gabbard getting off of a plane. Bold as brass. Here you go. Or out of a vehicle. Let me see right here. They put that picture of her where she was looking around a door. Remember that? When they were confiscating the ballots. And then commentator starts, she was sneaking around there. She didn't have any business being there. She didn't hide. She didn't hide. Somebody took a picture and she was standing on the other side of a door. But they have to make it seem like she's being nefarious or something. But she didn't hide that she was there. And by the way, they confiscated more ballots. In several different places. So something's coming together. Something's coming together. I had to go way down in the studio to get that picture. But every little thing they think of. Yeah, I saw Lindsey Graham. He is babbling about I heard he was babbling about a path to citizenship for some of these people that don't belong in our country, right? We have really got to step up about that and stop it. Stop that kind of talk. But yeah, he looked ridiculous. Here we go. Here's Trump. Oh, yeah, I'll play that in a minute. Here we go. Trump speaks to reporters on Air Force One. They just use this as a picture while and they enhance the sound, thank God.
Country in the world that has, you know, we have a big case becoming in the Supreme Court that had to do with the babies of slaves after the Civil War. And instead of that, it's being used as a way for rich countries and thousands of people from China coming in and getting citizenship for people within their family. This is not what they meant when they did that. So,
yeah, talking.
That's a big decision coming up.
Talking about citizenship, the verbal arguments, oral arguments are going to be this Wednesday. And, you know, people, a couple of years ago, I was talking about that, saying that there were 1 million Chinese that had come over here. They gave birth and took their children home back to China with citizenship papers and were raising them in a communist regime, and they could come back anytime they want. And when you have votes, elections that are decided by 10,000 votes, 7,000 votes, 1 million trained communists coming in and entering the precinct to vote is a big, big problem. And we better do something about it. But that leads me to the, I guess this was the post. Yeah, birthright citizenship is not about the rich people from China and the rest of the world who want their children and hundreds of thousands or more for pay to ridiculously become citizens of the United States of America. I think it's worse than that. He's taking a soft road. It's infiltration, okay? If the communist government did not want them to come over here and become citizens, they wouldn't be here. They're only there because the communist country wants them to be. They know exactly what they're doing. And that's why they started opening up Chinese police precincts in America. Remember that, folks? To keep their people walking the chalk. Because they get a taste of freedom. They like it. And the commies know it. But anyway, these people will never get a taste of freedom. And when they come over here, they're going to be trained how to turn our country into a communist nation. I'm not kidding. So anyway, we're the only country in the world that dignifies the subject with even discussion. Look at the dates of this long ago legislation. The exact end of the Civil War. The world is getting rich selling citizenship to our country while at the same time laughing at how stupid our U.S. court system has become. Tariffs. That's a little nudge in the ribs to the Supreme Court. And I'll reiterate, Donald Trump is the chief executive. Donald Trump is chief law enforcement officer to faithfully execute the laws of the United States. And if the Supreme Court gets something wrong, he has a duty to correct it. A duty. The Supreme Court has no business sticking its nose in foreign affairs with the executive. But anyway, quote, dumb judges and justices will not a great country make. There you have it. I concur. So anyway, let me see. Here's another truth from him. Right here. The United States of America is serious. Oh, I already read that one. All right. Yeah, I just want to make sure. because some of them start off on the same subject. But no, I had that one in didn't get that one out of the studio. So anyway, let's see. Big day in Iran. Many long sought after targets have been taken out and destroyed by our great military, the finest and most lethal in the world. God bless you all, President DJT. What did he say a couple of days ago? We still have 3,700 and some targets left. But I know they got one big one. What did he post again today? Again, what's this, 4 days in a row? Federal housing regulator Bill Pulte criminally refers embattled New York Attorney General Letitia James. Let me see if there's a couple of clips that he also posted, news clips. Let me see. Is this one of them? Here we go. I wonder how she's sleeping. I really do. 4 days in a row, while there's an armed conflict going on, he's saying, oh, by the way, Letitia James is in trouble. How would you like to be in her shoes?
All right, breaking tonight, we are learning that Bill Pulte, the director of the Federal Housing Finance Agency, is now has a letter to the DOJ referring New York Attorney General Letitia James for a criminal referral over her insurance fraud. Now, the DOJ has confirmed they received that referral. We did reach out to Letitia James in her office for comment. We have yet to hear back. Here with all the details. He is the founder, editor-in-chief, chief investigative reporter, justthenews.com. John Solomon is here with the very latest. This is a blockbuster based on what I've seen with these documents.
Yeah, the documents are very clear. The evidence is very strong. Some of it is court records. So Bill Pulte did his homework. New York Stop Cop is in a world of trouble. This is a very serious legal referral. If you remember last year, there was a referral made for mortgage fraud. It led to an indictment, but then the indictment got thrown out by a judge on the grounds that the U.S. attorney wasn't lawfully appointed there. That will not be the case where these two referrals are being sent. They're being sent to Chicago, where Allstate Insurance is located, in Florida, where a second insurance company where Letitia James took out her homeowner's insurance was based. Both have sitting U.S. attorneys. Both have juries with a long history of sending politicians to prison when they believe they've engaged in corrupt acts. And both are getting referrals that have very specific information that Letitia James filled out insurance applications for her home in Virginia, claiming that it would not be occupied for 5 months of a year. That probably got her a better rate. In fact, the house was occupied around a year by a niece and a family member. And so the evidence is strong. The jurisdictions have a long history of convicting politicians if they think that they've done something corrupt. And both of the U.S. attorneys are confirmed by the Senate. So that's a big deal. By the way, the one in Florida is going to the same U.S. attorney that's doing the grand conspiracy case looking at weaponization, Jason Quinones. That's another big thing. A lot of resources down in that.
The grand conspiracy. The grand conspiracy. This is not just about her lying on her insurance forms and mortgage papers. She was part of the grand conspiracy to frustrate the will of the people and to undermine the U.S. government. And how you doing, Chet? Nice to see you. Who else came in? I saw some other people come in. Mac's here. How you doing, Mac? I put a link in the chats to buy me a coffee at the 37-minute mark. Hi, Melinda. Nice to see you, Melinda. And anybody I may have missed. So anyway. Yeah, a grand conspiracy. And let me tell you, these attorneys that stick up for these crooked politicians and these insurrectionists, that is a specialty practice of lawfare, okay? They dream up this crap, pettifogging and false accusations twisted into some form of something that sounds like a law. And there are a lot of them to go around that are good at it. And you got Mark Elias. No, not Mark Elias. I'm sorry. What is his name? Norm Eisen and Abby Lowell and Andrew Weissman. Okay, in my opinion, you got to be dirty. You got to be dirty to practice in that field. And I mean, by dirty, I mean your hands and your face and your soul has got to be filthy. That's, my opinion. And there ain't but so many of them to go around. And I know that Norm Eisen and Abby Lowell are elbow deep in that business, stopping what's happening in California with the ballots that were seized by the sheriff. They're doing everything they can to quash that. 2 or 3 lawful warrants issued by a judge. And boy, they want it to stop. So who's going to come to you? Who's going to come help you, Letitia? Who's going to dream up something like getting rid of the prosecutor like they did the first time he charged? You heard it, that it ain't going to work this time. So anyway, we'll see him get their resources stretched thin. Trump's got a good team, and he can take care of the big picture items like Iran and the world issues that have been facing our country for so long. So anyway, here's some more from Trump on Air Force One.
Are you considering still putting boots on the ground, and would you do that without going to Congress?
I just have lots of alternatives. We have tremendous numbers of ships over there. We don't need them all because of, the power. Look, I would say we're just like we're ahead of schedule on the Ballroom. In a much bigger way, we're ahead of schedule with Iran. We're weeks ahead of schedule. If you would have said that in 3 days we were going to knock out 158 ships, their entire Navy, which we did, we knocked out their entire Air Force. We knocked out most of their missiles. That's why you see missile attacks, but they're sputtering. And we have a group, it's really a new regime. It's a new group of people that we've never dealt with before, that are acting very reasonable. It is truly regime change.
Is Khamenei's son still alive, sir? Is he a part of these?
We think he may be. Nobody's heard about him. He may be alive, but he's obviously very seriously in trouble. He's seriously wounded.
You know that explosion that I showed you at the beginning? That might have been the new regime, air quotes, might have dropped a dime on some people to protect themselves. There's hardliners that are still causing problems. And we know these new people are in danger. These ones who want to be moderate with Trump. They're in danger. So how do you protect yourself? Drop a dime on who's dangerous to you, right? Here's another clip from Trump on Air Force One.
But we've had regime change, if you look already, because the one regime was decimated, destroyed. They're all dead. The next regime is mostly dead. And the third regime, we're dealing with different people than anybody's dealt with before. It's a whole different group of people. So I would consider that regime change. And frankly, they've been very reasonable. So I think we've had regime change. You can't do much better than that. The regime that was...
The second regime is mostly dead. The first regime is all dead. So, maybe they're not mostly dead anymore. Maybe they're all DEAD or anyone that's truly effective is finally gone. And we'll see more progress. Maybe, I don't know. Here's Marco Rubio laying out what needs to happen with Iran. And we come this far, we can't leave that situation in place. Like Trump said, they could either have a prosperous country, a safe, prosperous country, or if they keep going the way they're going, we'll just pulverize them and they'll have nothing. So anyway, here's Rubio.
This operation, okay, and that's what this is, it's about very specific objectives. The president laid them out on the first night of the operation. I'll repeat them to you now because I hear a lot of talk about we don't know what the clear objectives are. Here they are. You should write them down. Number one, the destruction of their Air Force. Number two, the destruction of their Navy. Number three, the severe diminishing of their missile launching capability. And number four, the destruction of their factories so they can't make more missiles and more drones to threaten us in the future. All of this so that they can never hide behind it to acquire a nuclear weapon. That was our objective from the beginning. That remains our objective now. We are on pace and, in fact, ahead of schedule on some of those things, and we are going to achieve those things in a number of weeks, not in a number of months.
Yep, there you go. We're going to keep that pressure on. And Trump said, you know, he didn't say anything. He wasn't going to go after anything. He's going to keep pounding away at military targets. And if they drag it on too long, he's going to wipe out power stations and other sites that are integral to their functioning as a country. Anyway, here is this one about Spain. Let me see. Spain. Commie Spain. How many times have I talked about them? Spain closes airspace to U.S. planes involved in Iran war. Okay. That was announced by Defense Minister Margarita Robles, according to Reuters. We do not allow the use of military bases or airspace for actions related to the war in Iran, she told journalists in Madrid. The decision is part of the Spanish government's decision not to participate in or facilitate in a war that was launched unilaterally and in violation of international law, like hell. It's perfectly legal action. I've got another video of Trump where the reporter says, "Are you thinking of sending troops into Iran without notifying Congress?" He doesn't have to notify Congress when he's taking actions to protect the nation. He doesn't need their approval. Oh, maybe you should send half that number, or maybe you should wait a week. Let's talk about it. Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez was one of the most vocal opponents of the U.S. and Israeli attacks on Iran. Well, Iran is a linchpin for the global Marxist movement. That's why they're freaking out, calling them reckless and illegal. In response, Trump threatened to cut off trade with Madrid, which is, because of the Supreme Court, his only option. He can't raise tariffs on them and make them pay till they change their mind. Supreme Court, in its wisdom, said, well, he has the power to stop all goods coming in from other countries, but he can't tariff them. What an idiotic. Well, Trump will just do that, okay? And anybody's going to complain, what you're not going to get your cucarachas, or what are you going to get from Spain you're going to miss? The Russian tanker Anatoly Klodokin, with a humanitarian cargo of 100,000 tons of oil, has arrived in Cuba, the Russian Ministry of Transport, which is true. The American administration, in cooperation with NATO and Greenland, is working on a stunning deal for the U.S., the White House told the New York Times. Oh, there's so many things. People are forgetting. Trump hadn't forgotten about Cuba, about Greenland, about Canada. I had where is it? Somebody on one of these Occupy Democrats or someplace like that. Yeah, here it is. They put up this garbage. Marilyn Adams. He wants to take Greenland, Cuba, etc. I think he actually wants to be an emperor. Oh, that's a real brain surgeon take on things. So, this is Occupy Democrats. Apparently, they don't have me blocked. But you see other people, he's a real estate mogul. Having all land doesn't make him king. This is not a monopoly game. And no get out of jail free cards. Like he's escaping jail somehow. Let's make him Emperor of Leavenworth. Well, I put in there, he wants to free Greenland from the kingdom of Denmark and free Cuba from the tyranny of Marxism. Wouldn't you say that that's correct? Greenland is under a kingdom. Cuba is under Marxism, right under our noses. People had their homes taken away, their businesses, every single citizen, their money. They were relegated to slavery. But, oh, that's a good thing, right? So I got an answer from one of these dips called Susan Elliott, called me a bot. And I said to Susan Elliott, mental case. And her brilliant response was, you are. I know you are. What am I? So I said, this is a good template for an answer because you know what? I didn't get an answer back. How can they answer this back? Why does the left push for tranny teachers, illegal voting, child muta, and then I put a space in, lation, and fawn over mullahs and commie dictators, among other things? Why? That's it in a nutshell. That's what she's standing up for. So anyway, let me get some of these Ruski posts out of the way. In the coming days, the U.S. and Iran may reach an agreement, Donald Trump stated. Now, according to him, Iran is ready to hand over 20 oil tankers to the U.S. as a tribute of respect. And, of course, the Ruski people are laughing at that, but we'll see who's laughing. Now, here's about the Russian tanker going to Cuba. Trump announced that he does not object to the supply of Russian oil to Cuba. According to him, one tanker will not have a global impact on the situation. The day before, the U.S. Coast Guard did not stop the Russian tanker Anatoly Klodakin with 730,000 barrels of oil. Yeah, it's not going to change anything. And we have to understand it's not going to stop the eventual collapse of that regime. And we'll be there when it collapses to help. What happened on this day, folks? Let me see who else in the chats. KNS Cleanup, how you doing? What happened? What's this? Today is the anniversary of something that I remember where I was and what I was doing. Where were you, Chet? Do you know what the anniversary is today? What happened? Roland, Cole, Todd. Do you know? Anybody know? Hi, Lori. Nice to see you. Yeah, we know who paid for that clown show. Georgie Porgy Soriosio. We got a special place for him, right? Does anybody know what this is the anniversary of? I'm seeing if anybody guess. Gary here. I didn't say, there he is. Ha, ha, ha. Gary's here. MS Motorsports is here. Nice to see you all. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. What is today's anniversary? Let me tell you something. I'll give it a couple more seconds for you. Need a clue? It has something to do with John F. Kennedy. It has something to do with Richard M. Nixon. It has something to do with Donald J. Trump. Namely, it has something to do with William McKinley. It has something to do, well, I won't go too much more because I'll give it away. What happened with all these people I just mentioned? The most recent William McKinley, John F. Kennedy, Richard M. Nixon, Ronald Reagan, and Donald J. Trump. What happened? They all were either removed or assassinated or attempted to be assassinated. Today is the anniversary. Whoops, I dropped my spectacles. Holy cow, I'm blind as a bat. There he is, Ronald Wilson Reagan. On this day in 1981, President Ronald Reagan and several others were shot and injured outside a Washington, D.C. hotel by John W. Hinckley. Haven't heard anybody talking about it. Haven't heard anybody. But they killed Kennedy. They did a silent coup against Nixon. After they got Nixon out, they put that idiot Carter in, which started the Iranian regime. Right? It also heralded the Russian invasion of Afghanistan. The Middle East turned into a nightmare under Carter. And then Reagan was in, and within months, there was an assassination attempt. And I have a video. Let me see. I think it's the Secret Service agent that was there when it happened. His last name was McCarthy. And I remember his last name because I have always said for many years that this country owes Senator Joe McCarthy a national apology. He's warned us, he warned us and warned us and warned us about communist infiltration into our country. There's John Hinckley. You know what he's doing or was doing? I don't know if he's still doing or not. He's out now. He's doing music videos with his guitar on YouTube. Can you believe that? This is the person who tried to assassinate Ronald Reagan.
Started out as a pretty normal day. We got there about 6:30, working days. And we started getting briefing and going over to the Washington Hilton Hotel for the Building Trades Convention. Went out and did his speech, very well received. Came up the elevator, which was just Jerry Parr, the rest of us up the stairs. Met him at the entrance going out and started working our way over to the car. It looked pretty ordinary, looked over at the crowd a couple times, didn't see anything out of the ordinary, and everyone was yelling, "Mr. President." And of course, you're on pins and needles. Is the president going to go to the crowd or not? Which way he's going. And of course, you have to react accordingly. So I looked at him, looked at the crowd, and then all of a sudden, John Hinckley pushed himself forward a little bit to my left and reeled off 6 rounds in about 1.4 seconds. He hit 4 people, murdered Jim Brady ultimately. Jim Brady died. Tom Delahanty, who was still alive, I believe, was hit in the back of the neck. I was hit in the right chest. And the president, of course, the ricochet round hit him on the left armpit. Gets back to training. What I did that day was solely based upon training.
Yeah, if you watch the last few seconds of that video, you could see this agent pushing Reagan into the car very quickly and covering him with his own body. And they said after they shut the door and Reagan got off the floor of the limousine, he said, "You broke my rib, you SOB." And it turned out it wasn't his rib broken, it was because he was shot. So anyway, yeah, George Bush was in Reagan's administration because Reagan was an outsider and the cabal couldn't have that. So they inserted, as an outsider, Reagan had to work with whatever was existing in Washington. If he didn't, look what they did to Trump, his first administration. They done the same thing to Reagan. But Reagan was so likable, and he had such little dirt on him. And they learned from that. If they don't have dirt on them, you smear dirt on them. Okay? That's what they did with Trump. So anyway, just a reminder, how many times has Trump said they kill consequential presidents? That's what they do. That's their game. All right, let me see what we have here. I had this video from, I got a stink bug walking on my knee. Straight from Guatemala. Thank you, Obama. That's when I first started seeing stink bugs. After the Obama administration. Anyway, I had this video. I didn't play it because I ran out of time. Citizen Free Press said this person did like an amazing escape out of a half-open window of a police car.
Listen, look. Don't tell them nothing. Don't say shit. Damn. Fucking God, this is live. They don't even see. They don't even see. They gonna kill her. They gonna beat the Look, 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 look. Look, look, look. Y'all seen it live. This is live. Oh my God. They didn't see this, bro. Oh my.
He walked around back like he's going to find her hiding behind the car. She's long gone. But anyway, just a little human interest story there. Let's see what this video is here. Mic drop at 78 Oscars. This is something I have not watched, but Citizen Free Press posted it today. What do you all remember as a mic drop? We're going down memory lane today, I guess. Oh, Rebecca's anniversary. I'll be darned. 52 years ago. How many years? Wait a minute, where's my chats? I couldn't see it because of the 52 years, 330. Oh, okay. Happy belated. Or no, wait a minute, today, yeah. Yes, funny how, well, everybody's videoing, Gary, everybody. You can't walk down the street without somebody holding a phone. A phone's a camera. But anyway, here, what is the mic drop? Let's see, who was it? It would have to be something conservative if Citizen Free Press put it up. I can't read that. Wait a minute. Must watch esteemed writer. I can't say that name. Patty what? Has a mic drop moment. Let's see.
Before I get on to the writing awards, there's a little matter I'd like to tidy up. At least if I expect to live with myself tomorrow morning. I would like to say, personal opinion of course, that I'm sick and tired of people exploiting the occasion of the Academy Awards for the propagation of their own personal political propaganda. I would like to suggest to Miss Redgrave that her winning an Academy Award is not a pivotal moment in history, does not require a proclamation, and a simple thank you would have sufficed.
Well, no wonder I couldn't pronounce his name, because after he did that, they probably blackballed him. You know, they probably blackballed him, and he couldn't make any movies anymore. So anyway, let's see. Holy cow. I'm going to get into some of that No Kings flop. How many of you feel that was a flop? Boy, you wouldn't know that listening to the regular news. That was a damn flop. Let's see. You know, I got on my thumbnail the Ballroom. You know that because this lunatic group is suing, they're saying Trump is destroying history. When Obama wiped out the East Wing to put up a ghetto basketball court nobody used, a worthless endeavor. And also, I had some posts from the 17th letter where there was a second Oval Office during Obama's term, a second Oval Office installed underground. Do you all remember that? I'll have to get back into that again. Yeah, it was a major flop in Spinach too. I'm going to play some videos about that. But anyway, I want to talk about this. Trump was pretty much, I don't want to say forced, but this bunch is suing to stop the Ballroom. Well, you idiots, it's none of your business. And a court should find that to be the case. And I talk about how Harry Truman gutted the White House where it was nothing but a shell and put 10 stories underneath the White House. 10 stories back in the 1950s. Truman spent much of his time somewhere else. He didn't stay in the White House. Nobody said a damn thing then. Well, I don't know who's handling this case, but why the hell did it get out to be public knowledge that the military is putting an installation underneath the Ballroom? That may have prompted Trump to talk about stupid judges. But anyway, Clandestine put this out. Hear me out. Trump and the U.S. military have secured and or remodeled multiple subterranean structures at multiple locations across D.C. When Trump secured D.C. with the U.S. military and National Guard in August of 2025, the Trump administration publicly disclosed they were reviewing the Smithsonian tunnels and their full archives. Trump secured the Smithsonian Tunnel Network that runs beneath the Capitol and National Mall. Meanwhile, U.S. military presence was mainly focused on metro hubs like U.S. military presence, on metro hubs like Union Station and other metro stations around the Capitol and the White House. When Trump was touring the Trump Kennedy Center in March of 2025, let me find where I'm at. He criticized the $250 million allocated for unused, quote, underground rooms, unquote. Remember that? He said they spent $300 million a piece on what he called his mini theaters. But anyway, to which he later announced the close of the Trump Kennedy Center for a 2-year renovation. Yeah, isn't that something? Out of the blue, we're closing the whole place down. In addition, we know that the military are the ones who wanted the, quote, Ballroom, not Trump. According to Trump himself, the Ballroom is just a shed, unquote, to cover whatever, quote, massive complex the U.S. military are building beneath the surface. What's my point? There seems to be a focus on subterranean D.C. As for what exactly is going on, I'm unsure, but I know a trend when I see one. And he posted this picture of the Trump Kennedy Center and I heard a long time ago, and you got to take things with a grain of salt. There's some underground ways where you could be on one end of D.C. and pop out underneath the Potomac River. Transport, go right down the river in a submarine. But I don't know what you can believe and not believe. Trump Kennedy Center, you see where it is, the White House, Union Station, the Capitol, and the Smithsonian Tunnels. So he went on to say, let's see, I guess he cogitated some more about it. Here we go. Oh, no, this is about Trump Library. I'll play that in a minute. Boy, what a difference Trump Library is going to be to Obama's mausoleum. That looks like what's that place in Mecca? But anyway, it all makes sense now. The Dems, mainstream media, don't care about the ballroom. They're upset about what's beneath it. Trump just confirmed that the ballroom construction is a cover for some sort of subterranean military structure. I heard that what Truman put beneath the White House could survive an atomic strike. That's with 1950s technology. Either something nefarious was already there and the U.S. military found it, or the U.S. military are creating something more secure that clearly the deep state are not happy about. The outrage over the White House ballroom construction was never about preserving history, taxpayer money, or any other BS reasons the Dems mainstream media have been spewing. This is a U.S. military operation, hence why the Dems have been squealing so much about it. What's to argue about? Nothing. I agree. Yeah, I'm looking through some of the chats. Well, talking about currency, something is going to happen. Something is going to happen. Look at all those gold coins. Turkish gold reserves in the largest drop in 7 years, data shows. Turkey was a big U.S. ally in World War II. We'll talk about it. It's changed a lot, but we could always rely on Turkey. Turkey has started selling gold from its state reserves amid the war in Iran, Reuters reports. The country's central bank has sharply reduced its gold reserves in a short period in March. About 60 tons of gold worth over $8 billion were sold and used in operations. Do you think that affected the gold price? Supply and demand, you inject a huge amount of gold into the buying market. I don't know. In just 1 week, reserves could have dropped by about 22 tons, the largest drop in the last 7 years. At the same time, the country's total international reserves fell by more than $12 billion over the week. This is happening amid intense pressure on the Turkish lira and growing global instability due to the war in the region. Well, we know that Iran is purchasing or doing purchases to China with the yuan because their currency, I forgot what it was called. I put it up there the other day. Their currency ain't worth squat. So I don't know. There's stuff going on. I'm sure President Donald J. Trump's got a better handle on it than I ever could. But anyway, Eric Trump said that the Donald J. Trump Library is officially here. Over the past 6 months, I poured my heart and soul into this project with my incredible team at Trump. This landmark on the water in Miami, Florida, will stand as a lasting testament to an amazing man, an amazing developer, and the greatest president our nation has ever known. They put up a video with that. Let me see if this is it. Compare, if this is it, let me see. Compare this to what your recollection is of Barack Obama's. How long have they're going to open it up in June? June 18th, they're going to open up that dump. It looks like a concrete block. It looks like something Stalin would have built. But anyway, compare that to this. And how long did it take him to put it up? How long has he been out of office? And here, they're probably already breaking ground on the damn thing. Yeah, a far cry from that crap Obama took forever to build. And hey, who knows if the damn thing's even structurally sound. But anyway, let's see. I haven't watched this either. I want to play this. Let's see. Ryan Gudersky. The Trump immigration crackdown. Electoral bloodbath for Democrats. This is what they're really going cuckoo about. They can't win without cheating. We all know it. And with these no kings fools, do you think it's getting through their heads? Or are they living in a mainstream constructed delusional world that people don't like Donald Trump and we're gonna steamroll him and then he's gonna get impeached? I don't know. I mean, it's irrational thinking. But that's what a corrupt media with top of the line psyop capabilities can do. Warp people's brains. It's called the mind's eye, okay? The prism that you view things through. They change the prism. A prism changes how things look.
Okay, according to new census data, because of the drastic cuts to immigration, both legal and illegal, because of the Trump administration, especially on the illegal side, there's been a little bit of cuts on legal immigration through regulatory reform. There's been obviously nothing through the Congress. There has been a massive reduction in immigration through every metropolitan area in this country. According to the census, every single metro area saw a decline in immigration numbers, almost all by over 50%. In El Paso, there was a 95% reduction. That's all illegal immigration, by the way. In Los Angeles, 67% reduction. Denver, 72% reduction. New York City, 65% reduction. Chicago, 62% reduction. Seattle, 31% reduction. And this reduction in immigration levels create the blueprints for the 2030 census redistricting, which will only be happening in half a decade. It's not that far away, really. I mean, it's as far as 2020 was, and that feels like it was 35 seconds ago. So how many blue seats are they going to lose in the House? How many electoral college votes are they going to lose? Likely a lot more than they thought they were going to lose just a year ago. And I want to put this calculation, into people's heads. In 2024, Kamala Harris had to win every blue wall state to be president, right? Joe Biden had to win every blue wall state to be president. The rate that it is going right now, even if a Democrat were to win Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania, they could not win the presidency. Let me repeat that. The blue wall becomes irrelevant the way that the demographics are shaking out. And by the way, this census number that just came out, this is the 2024 to 2025 census. This is a census where Biden is still the president for 6 months of the year. The 2025 to 2026 census, which will be coming out next year, is going to be a bloodbath. Like, if this is the first 6 months before Trump put in travel bans on dozens of countries, before he increased the H-1B rate to $100,000 for new H-1B employees, before really ramping up mass deportations, it's going to be a bloodbath for Democrats next year.
That is good news. And Trump is not slowing down. I heard a Democrat, I didn't get the clip, but he was calling people undocumented Americans instead of undocumented immigrants. The prism of the mind's eye. He's trying to change how you see things. That's what the word repent means. I've said it and said it. You change the way you look at things, things change the way they look. That's why you see that little pyramid at the top of the dollar with an eyeball in it. Are you following me? That's a prism. That's not some Egyptian sorcery. That is getting people to look through their prism, and it makes people change how they view things instead of looking at it through reality. The mind's eye. Michigan Democrat U.S. Senate candidate Abdul al-Sayed told campaign staffers he wanted to avoid issuing any public statement about the assassination of Ayatollah Ali Khamenei because there are a lot of people in Dearborn, Michigan, where they used to make that good old Detroit iron known as a car. They were sad. Well, they got to get the hell out. I was happy as a pig in you-know-what because he needed to go, and so did Ahmadinejad. Here's Abdul el-Sayed. He's got to go, okay? You have affinity for a monstrous regime like that. You don't belong in this country, period. You and Ilhan Omar.
So, if this is going to destabilize the region, I also want to remind you guys that there are a lot of people in Dearborn who are sad today.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, I just don't want to comment on Khamenei at all. I don't think it's worth even touching that.
Okay. Take a look into your background, your paperwork. How the hell did you even get in this country? I meant to put this up the other day. Elon Musk put this up. How many times have you all seen me put this? Elon Musk put this up reposted it about 3 days ago. Yes. This. How many times have you seen me put this up? Over the years, at least 2 years I've been putting this up. Mercy to the guilty is cruelty to the innocent. I meant to put that up the other day, but I ran out of time. Elon put it up. Is that a message? Well, thank you, Gary. I appreciate that. Yes, the realizing. That's maybe what we'll call it instead of the awakening. We'll call it both. The realizing. People are starting to realize. Sparky, how you doing? Yeah, you think about it, folks. You think about, look at a dollar bill. Look at that pyramid in the eye. It's looking, look up what a prism is. It bends light. It changes what you're looking at. And that's their goal, is to get the mind's eye of humanity to look through their prism and accept it as reality. This guy with the Chicago Bulls, he got cut because he said something critical, I think, about Pride Month. What does Pride Month have anything to do with our sports? What does Pride Month, Gay Pride Month, have anything to do with the function of our government or our laws? Who somebody wants to fiddle around in bed with?
That the world can proclaim LGBTQ. Right? They proclaim Pride Month and the NBA. They proclaim it. They show it to the world. They say, come join us for Pride Month, to celebrate unrighteousness. They proclaim it. They proclaim it on the billboards. They proclaim it in the streets. Unrighteousness. So how is it that one can't speak righteousness? How is it one that how are they to say that you man, this man is crazy?
He got cut from the team because of that. He felt it was unrighteousness. It is a religious view. And how do they get away with pushing their religious view? They want you to look through their prism so it will be okay for them to approach your child and tell them it's okay to be proud. It's okay to be gay. When in my day, you got your rear end locked up for talking to kids like that. But they want to normalize it. I don't even know what this clip is. Let's see. Oh, Marco Rubio. Yeah. All right. He's talking to Al Jazeera. Al Jazeera. That's who gave Al Gore millions of dollars for that media crap he built up on the earth has a fever, his boogeyman bullshit from the 1990s. Al Jazeera made Al Gore a millionaire, where he's got his own private jet now. But anyway, Marco Rubio is talking to Al Jazeera.
I think it was very disappointing. You have this, and again, look, the president and our country will have to re-examine all of this after this operation is over. But one of the reasons why NATO is beneficial to the United States is it gives us basing rights for contingencies. It allows us to station troops and aircraft and weapons and in parts of the world that we would normally have bases. And that includes in much of Europe. And to see that in a time of need, the United States has identified a grave risk to our national security and our national interests, and we needed to conduct this operation. And we have countries like Spain, a NATO member, that we are pledged to defend, denying us the use of their airspace and bragging about it, denying us the use of their bases. And there are other countries that have done that as well. And so you ask yourself, well, what is in it for the United States?
Yeah, we're sending strong messages. You know, Spain, boy, I got some videos of Spain. I'll play. They have to be taken care of. I'll put it that way. Speaking of taking care of other countries, you know, we still have troops in Ecuador. Trump's taking care of Latin America too.
The U.S. is giving an assist to the South American government that's been fighting drug-related violence there. And William Lajeunesse is in L.A. He's got much more. Hi, William.
Hey, Dana, you know, this is part of a broader effort by President Trump to reassert U.S. influence in Latin America, capture Maduro, the oil blockade in Cuba, helping Mexico. But in Ecuador, we're taking another step, not just providing intel, but a joint military operation. A new front in the war on drugs. U.S. Special Forces in a joint military operation in Ecuador. Using helicopters, boats, and drones, Ecuador says it destroyed a drug camp near the Colombian border, though locals say it was a farm.
These are narco-terrorist organizations that operate in the region who are using Ecuador as a transit zone.
Local gangs with Mexican cartels turned Ecuador into the world's largest cocaine exporter, according to the FBI, and one of the most violent countries in South America.
They have looked at the U.S. as one of its main allies to try to address and fight organized crime.
One day before the military strike, the top brass at Southern Command met with Ecuadorian President Daniel Noboa, a close ally of President Trump, who weeks ago explained how the new U.S. alliance with Latin America would work.
The heart of our agreement is a commitment to using lethal military force to destroy the sinister cartels and terrorist networks.
Over here, we run a lot of the money laundering cases.
Assisting that goal, a new federal task force in Los Angeles to counter those transnational criminal groups.
In Ecuador and other places in South America as well, you see renewed efforts by these drug dealers and drug cartel kingpins to figure out a different way to get cocaine into this country. This is the best way to get things done.
Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche toured the office Wednesday following a major narcotics arrest.
This is the best example of why we have the Homeland Security Task Force.
So Southcom won't say exactly how involved or how many personnel we have in Ecuador, but many argue this is the framework going forward, using U.S. military and police assets with partners in Latin America, Dana, and offensive operations to target cartels.
Sounds like it's more.
So he's got multiple fronts going. You know, I put in my thumbnail, Trump library, Trump airport, Trump military installation. Is this? Yeah, here. They rename it. Trump, which airport is this? They've already renamed it. Plus the Trump coin, okay? He's leaving his mark, and it's got to be driving these liberals nuts. Yeah, Todd, Palm Beach. They're going to be suing. You can't do that. He's a living president. Get lost. We'll do whatever we want. You know, I was, I'm kind of keeping track of this Laura Logan stuff with this guy, Joe Bannister. I played a tape from him, or a tape. I'm showing my age, aren't I? A tape. I played a video of him. He's a criminal investigator, was a criminal investigator for the IRS until he discovered the truth about the income tax. There is no law that requires 97% of Americans to file and pay income tax. And you know what? I did a video, 4 years ago, about how they passed the income tax as an amendment. They really didn't meet the qualifications to have a constitutional amendment, but they called it one. That is what happens when you have a Woodrow Wilson, okay, a communist, a Marxist liberal get into the White House. We had more damage done to this country under the Wilson administration than any other administration, except maybe the Carter and Obama administration. He was the precursor.
How did this all start, Joe? I mean, I know it goes back to the 1913 Federal Reserve Act. And then, of course, when taxes were first introduced, an income tax, it was supposed to be temporary, right?
There was an income tax attempt in the late 1800s that was declared unconstitutional. So for a 20, 30-year period, they went back to the drawing board, the bankers and everyone. How do we need to extract more money from the people? And so in 1913, the 16th Amendment was proposed and offered out for ratification. The evidence shows that the 16th Amendment was not ratified. It was or fraudulently ratified. So really the income tax was a bastard child from the moment of inception in 1913. And then, as you mentioned, the Federal Reserve Act was also passed in the exact same year, not a coincidence. But by 1916, the Supreme Court actually ruled that the 16th Amendment, the Income Tax Amendment, did not expand federal taxing power. So for all that effort of getting an income tax amendment to the Constitution that was fraudulently ratified anyway, but even if it was legitimately ratified, the Supreme Court said there's no new power. Whatever power the federal government had before the 16th Amendment is the same as after. And that's actually where the beginnings of the obfuscation, shall we say, in 1916, where the paper trail that I've reviewed starts. And what happens is the government, the Treasury, with the Congress, began to obscure in the actual written laws who was actually required to pay it. And then when World War II came along, you have all the propaganda relating to funding the war, but then after the war, all the debt, and we need to pay off the war debts, and everybody needs to get in and help row the boat. And that's when withholding became ubiquitous, withholding from people's paychecks. So it's been a very slow process. But then, of course, one generation to the next, it's like, well, my parents filed a tax return. I've got to do that too, right? And so
yes. You can't do anything without it, right? You can't get a mortgage on a home or many other things because people want to see your tax returns. So it's really still quite a powerful weapon of control.
Yeah, that's what it is, a weapon against the people. But we know Trump has in his cards a substitution. And that is another reason why he's so angry at the Supreme Court over the tariffs. And that may be why the globalists influence, in my opinion, some of the justices to rule the way they did. Because if you turn America back to what it used to be, it was against the law. It was unlawful to charge a tax on personal services, the sweat of your own brow. And we were the only nation. That is when you're truly free. You don't have to give an accounting to some sovereign. The personal income tax is nothing less than slavery, especially when they can take as much as they want. It says that in the amendment. So, I need to say what, Gary? Trump has talked about these judges being stupid. I think he's being nice. These judges are behaving criminally, in my opinion. And I know what I need to say. Which judges do I think were criminal? Well, I don't have anything written down, but I know Kaplan is one. Anyone who participated in framing our president and harassing our president using lawfare. Kaplan, Chutkin, Beryl Howell, Boasberg. And I know what you need me to say. Mercan! Did I get it right? So, welcome aboard to this new person. Let me see. Where'd he go? Asim. I just say Asim. I can't figure out your name there. Iran's got the upper hand. Okay. Yeah. Well, let me show you something about an upper hand. If you're still with us, Asim. Is that Asim? I'm not trying to be funny. I'm just curious if that's your name. Asim. Or Asim. I don't know. But did you see this? Wait a second. That's not the right one. Wait a second. Wait a second. This is in central Tehran. Whoops. Central Tehran. Did you see this? Who's got that brand? I think there was the remnants of the second regime, maybe even the nearly mummified corpse of the gay replacement mullah. I don't know. This happened tonight. And, we're not picking on you, Asim. I mean, you put your notions forward and we'll talk about it. But this happened tonight. And I do want to reiterate that this explosion looks like it traveled underground 6 blocks, maybe 10. I don't know. There you go. Boom. Boom, 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 boom. That is called the mother of all bunker busters. I hadn't heard that either, Todd. But he's somebody to keep an eye on. And I find it interesting that Laura Logan is focusing on that. We'll see if that gets legs. And right now, Trump is focusing on something I talked about 2 years ago, which was the 1 million Chinese citizens. I guess Asim left us. But yeah, there it is. There it is, 6 blocks in the blink of an eye. So, yeah, they got the upper hand, all right. But here's another video of the same gentleman talking about the income tax. An IRS agent's turning point. Okay, so what specifically changed your mind? Let's see.
Okay, so what specifically did you run into that opened your eyes and changed your mind so profoundly?
Well, as is typical of criminal investigators, at least back in the 90s, probably still the case, I'm driving around in my government car doing investigations, seeking out witnesses, gathering evidence. And so there's a talk radio station still out there in the San Francisco Bay Area, KSFO. And the host, who was a very trustworthy guy, or seemed to be, had a woman on his show named DV Kidd. And DV Kidd was talking about the income tax, among many other topics. And she basically said that, the income tax is voluntary. The vast majority of Americans aren't required to pay it by law. They're fooled into paying it. They're intimidated into paying it. But when you actually look at the laws, they're not there to require paying it. I would have normally dismissed that kind of a claim, but because it was made on a radio show that I'd already listened to for several years, the host was very trustworthy. Everything else he talked about checked out. Although why would you have this crazy lady talking about the income tax like this? And so that's what led me to the latter 2 years of my 5.5 years with the IRS, off-duty evenings and weekends, driving my wife crazy, missing out on a lot of my kids' early years.
Yes.
To not only do a 50-hour-a-week job, but also investigate the federal income tax to determine, am I on the right team here?
Yeah, they used to really push agents. It was like, it was a commercialized collection agency. And the way it is now with property tax, just another form of confiscatory policy. confiscatory policy. Let me see what's going on. You might be right, Todd. I'm not sure. So it's going to change. It's going to change. Trump is going to get it back to where it was under William McKinley, where tariffs provided income for the U.S., and he'll even have it to where it provides income to the American people. People get checks for the fruits of the United States of America, other countries coming in our garden. So anyway, I have got this video of Carolyn Levitt, and she's talking about the mainstream media, which has been the focus of many of her press conferences, calling them out. I think the focus is going to turn up. The heat is going to get turned up on this corrupt media. Trump said a long time ago, the first thing that's got to get taken care of is the corrupt media. The enemy of the people. It needs to change. Are we going to see something happen there? What is going to be the next big move? People are going to get tired of hearing of Iran. What's going to be the next move? Maybe we'll see some Epstein arrests. Maybe we'll see something out of the blue. I don't know. Maybe it's going to be actual arrests over foreign interference in our elections. Okay? There's so many different areas we can strike, or Trump can strike from, and he does not show his cards. So anyway, I'm going to play this video, and it should shame the mainstream media. But anyway, folks, it's 1:46 toward the end of the broadcast. I put a link to buy me a coffee in the description. And I want to thank Mike and Bev. And I want to thank Wayne. And I want to thank Colette for helping out this week. Tammy, the younger gang. Kapow. Colette, damn. Boom. Oh, I don't mean to blow up. And Miss Mendersu, like I said, she took care of it with a big, big boom. I don't want to put booms on Carolyn. But anyway, do you think the mainstream media is going to be embarrassed? Does anybody play this about how awful they treat things that should be top-of-the-line news? If this was about George Floyd, you'd never hear the end of it, but it's not. It's about an American citizen that lost their life. So anyway, folks, what do I say? I say thank you for spending your precious time with me, and thank you for the well-wishing about my catching the crud, which I am almost over, if you haven't noticed, compared to my speaking and everything last night. So hopefully I'll keep getting better from that. Thank you all for your suggestions, and enjoy this clip. You all have a great night. This is Mountain Man, over and out.
This is the media coverage of the case of Sheridan Gorman. You have
ABC News has spent 1 minute and 19 seconds between 2 days when this case was first alerted. You have CBS 2 minutes and 1 second. You have NBC 23 seconds spent on the life of a young, beautiful American woman whose life was taken short by an illegal alien who should have never been here in the first place. When we are in the wants to defund the agency that is responsible for protecting Americans, I think her life was worth more than 23 seconds on cable television, and I think the people in this room have a responsibility to report on cases like this because it just exemplifies why the president believes so strongly in deporting illegal aliens.